So how has engagement changed in the last couple of years? And like, what is the major shift that you're seeing moving into the new years? This is from Gabriel Castillo.
So one of the things that I've been hearing from all different kinds of associations is just association engagement is getting harder. And it almost doesn't matter what stakeholder we're talking about, whether it's new members, but also attendees, getting attendees engaged in coming to an in-person meeting or staying engaged in your online meeting. There's a big struggle of trying to get volunteers out there. So engaging those prospective volunteers. But it just seems like every stakeholder engaging your exhibitors and your sponsors and your students and your young professionals and I almost can't think of a stakeholder group where associations are like, yeah, that got easier. No, they're saying it's getting harder across the board, and so it's been making me wonder what's going on. Why, if you look back 20 years ago, it was easier, and 15 years ago, and 10 years ago, and 5 years ago, even 5 years ago, it was a little bit easier. What's going on? And I think what's going on is that rate of change. Time is shrinking, things are going faster, there's more incoming, and people just can't devote the time and attention that they used to anything, even if it's watching a 1-hour webinar. And so the solution is so when I was conducting a ton of member interviews in the last 7 years. I've conducted 477 member interviews and got a chance to talk to members about, what is engagement? What does it feel like to be engaged? What is engagement? And what I found from their stories is it's kind of two things. One is its value, and the other one is the experience. So every time we provide them with a value, we're also providing them with an experience. But sometimes we don't think about curating that experience. And when we curate that experience to be a very positive experience, that's when we kind of capture their attention, we capture their hearts, we capture their minds. And so the biggest change is that engagement is getting harder, and the biggest opportunity for us is to focus not just on value, but also that experience while we're delivering value. And that's really what my book is about, and what I've been talking about a lot lately on my blog and in my keynote is how do you lean really hard into that experiential stuff. And so, Farhad, you're just talking about online communities. What you're doing is this huge service. You're taking away some of the administrative burden so that people could spend time managing and moderating the community in really positive ways, in ways where they're creating an online community culture, in a way that they're greeting people, and in a way that they're showing folks what kind of behaviors are expected of the people in the community. And I love that. I love talking to industry partners and those that are removing the administrative burden so that associations can lean into the experience and create great value. It's awesome.
Yeah, and just to add to that, on that note, like, how is engagement changing and what are we seeing? So I have a talk on how to attract younger members, and what we're seeing is that Gen Z and millennials will very soon form the biggest part of the workforce. And Gen Z and millennials, so what happened is that I'm a millennial. So when we grew up, we grew up in a lot of technology among social media. Gen Z has not seen anything. So Gen Z has seen cell phones and social media from the very beginning, from when they were born. As a result, their brains actually developed slightly differently, certain parts of the brain. So the younger members, they consume and produce content at a much faster rate. But at the same time, they connect with short form content better than long form content in general, because there's more distraction out there in general. So I guess to tie into what Amanda was saying, that the value and the experience. So how can we provide the value but also make the experience easy for everyone? So I think an example could be what we are doing right now. So this is a long 1 hour 90-minute webinar that we are recording today. But a lot of the younger audience will probably not watch a 1 hour long video. So after the video is done, after the event is done, we will also create maybe 15-minute clips of the video and publish them on YouTube. So here we have the value. The value was created through this interview, through this event, but then in the experience, we're adding another experience of short form content from the same content, for the younger audience. So this is an example of value plus experience combined. The next question is from Kelly. So Kelly is asking, what are some realistic incentives you can provide to members for attending unpaid or volunteer engagements?
There's a couple of things that are percolating in my brain. I think one of those things is when we think about when we think about volunteers, we tend to think about volunteer roles are sitting on a committee or chairing a committee or being on the board. And those are big volunteer roles. I would say they're volunteer roles with a capital V, right? And there's so many other ways that members would think that they're volunteering. I think when you ask, members how do you volunteer? They would talk about things like speaking. They would talk about things like writing and perhaps being interviewed. All of those for them could come under the banner of volunteering and micro volunteering opportunities, welcoming, manning the registration booth, being chat ambassadors. There's probably a million other really cool volunteer activities. You could write postcards. There's a lot of things that you could do. So I think one way to get people excited about volunteering is to think about the prospective volunteer journey and start them off small. Like get them to flex the muscle with, they're just spending an hour and they're the chat ambassador and then maybe they do that another time and then they're ready for another role and you can potentially keep building. The other thing about thinking about that whole volunteer journey is you also get them thinking, you get them understanding what the value and the experience is like. So they do a small volunteer role and it's really, really beneficial to them. Maybe they made a friend or it just felt really good to be the welcoming committee, right? And they really had that really great experience. And so they're excited to come back for the next role. And then, as they spend maybe more and more time and resources and effort, they get even a bigger payoff and value to themselves. So that I think that's the one thing is we're creating volunteer opportunities is to always be thinking, I think Bruce, you had those 3 rules about it, it had to be on the association's mission, right? And aligned with the association. Think about the volunteer roles that way too. Is this on the association's mission and aligned with the association's mission? Is it good for the association? But then how is it good for the member? And when you combine both of those things, it can be super powerful. People will be willing to spend their time, attention, and money.
Yeah, and I guess when it comes to volunteering, we often think that it's a boring thing and people will not want to do it. But there are people passionate in doing certain things. For example, I love building software. I will do it for free if possible. If I didn't have to earn money, I would do it for free. So there are people passionate in doing certain things. And passionate about certain causes. So as long as you can find that perfect match that, you know what, this group of people are really passionate about this topic. So can they come and volunteer maybe in that committee, right? And some people really love social media. Can they come and volunteer for that? So finding that match, I guess. So it's a win-win for everyone.